Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to Concordia University's Force-Space. Thanks for joining us for today's event, Talking Shop, Innovating in the Age of AI. This is the beginning of a series exploring how AI is transforming marketing, creativity, and entrepreneurship. And we'd like to begin by acknowledging that Concordia University is located on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. And we respect the continued connections with the past, present, and future in our ongoing relationships with Indigenous and other peoples within the Montreal community. And here at Force-Space, we work with our university community to help mobilize knowledge. We co-create daily activities that examine research questions, projects, things happening across the university. We're also running today's event as a live stream both to Zoom and to YouTube. So if you're joining us there, if you have any comments or questions, pop those into the chat. We'll do our best to read those out a little bit later. Those of you here in the space, if you have comments, questions, we'll run a microphone over to you. Just raise your hand a little bit later. Okay. With that, it's very much my pleasure to hand the microphone over to marketing practitioner, faculty lecturer at our John Molson School of Business, and our host today, Richard Sejean. Richard, welcome back.
Thank you, Doug. Welcome everyone to Force-Space at Concordia University, beautiful downtown Montreal. So I'm Richard. I'm a faculty lecturer, marketing practitioner as well. And just a little bit of context. Talking Shop is really about connecting students and faculty with the business community to talk about some of the hottest topics right now. And today we'll be talking about innovation in the age of AI. AI is increasingly becoming a part of everything we do. Just a show of hands, how many of you have interacted with AI today? Okay, so for those of you who are listening in, someone still has their hand up, but about 100% of the audience had their hand up. And it's pushing us to reimagine creativity and engagement. Yet creating and communicating in many ways is what makes us human, right? So that balance, leveraging technology while keeping the human spark alive is something that we're still figuring out. As AI takes over more and more of the predictable work, creativity becomes probably more important than ever to learn how to do, if you can do creativity. So I'm here extremely humbled with our fantastic guest, who I'm sure a lot of you recognize. He lives at the intersection of art, technology, and entrepreneurship. He's a multi-platinum recording artist, a best-selling author, and a serial entrepreneur in the AI and tech space. David Usher, thank you for being with us. Let's show him some love. Thank you. Okay, so let's dive right in.
Right on.
Right. So for those of you who might not know who David is, David, do you mind maybe speaking a little bit about your journey?
Sure. I've been a musician for a really, really long time. I sold a lot of records, and I've done a lot of touring. But I got into technology about around the, in the rise of Facebook. I was living in New York. Around when Napster had just launched, and we were watching the music business sort of dive into the sea, and we were watching the rise of digital, and that got me really into technology. I did my first startup then, a social media aggregation startup that was doing downloadable integrated streams on what was Adobe Downloadables, iPhone, and as web apps, I think. And so I've been really interested in technology for a long time. And so I've somehow managed to merge these worlds of art and AI together in different forms.
Was it a kind of if you can't beat them, join them kind of thing, or?
No, I mean I'm the way I view creativity is I think of creativity as a methodology that you can apply to any sort of vertical, and a lot of people have trouble finding interest in different genres or different verticals of work. But for me, it's actually quite easy because the creative process is the underpinning of them all. And if you can take that methodology and transpose it onto another vertical, you can find interest within that vertical. So I find the same satisfaction making music or writing books or building tech. It's the same thing.
Amazing. And I only learned about this recently. Obviously, huge Moist fan and your solo career, all that, like I'm sure most of the audience. You wrote a book on creativity.
I did, yeah. And that's what the book is about. It's about the juxtaposition about creativity within the arts and creativity within technology and startups. And it's basically, we have the same methodology, we just have different goals and different ways of measuring those goals.
The name of the book is Let the Elephants Run?
Yes.
What does that mean?
It's really about the idea that we need to dream elephants. We need to dream big, but at the same time, we have to think about process and how we get there. And the way the creative process works, you can dream as big as you want, but the reality of the creative process tends to grind our ideas down to size.
Right.
So if you don't start big enough, you end up with something very small.
Right.
So the idea is that we need to think about the impact we want to make, the size of the idea that we want to bring to life.
Yeah. And I mean, certainly in the marketing world, you're either kind of more of an analytical person or more of a creative person. Do you feel that there is such a thing as people who are gifted with creativity and others who are, more of the bean counting genre?
I think there's creativity in all kinds of different things. There's creativity in making a song. There's creativity in writing a book. There's creativity in negotiation.
Right.
There's creativity in the way you decide you're going to get your kids to brush their teeth.
Yes.
It's a process. It's a process. It's not a destination, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. So anyone can be creative.
I think everyone is creative. Some of us just, we bury our creativity down deep because creativity comes with a lot of risk, and most people don't like risk in their lives.
Right.
They like the continuity
Yeah.
and safety. But especially in this new world of artificial intelligence, where the world is changing so fast and old norms are being disrupted completely, there is no safety now. Now we have only the choice of moving ahead. And what I always tell audiences is that creativity is really the last best competitive advantage you have. It is the competitive advantage that's going to separate you from other people, allow you to navigate a new world that is really in chaos, and understand how to move from here to there. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be your main. I think that creative people in this world are going to flourish.
Right.
And anyone can relearn their creativity, get back to their creativity, but it is essential in this world.
Right. It's like an adaptation in today's kind of hunter-gatherer, digital hunter-gatherer world.
Well, I mean, you can call it creativity, or you can call it you can define it as the ability to be open to new ideas, steal ideas, synthesize ideas, and make something new. I mean, it doesn't have to be airy-fairy. It doesn't have to. It really is a process of how we gather things and rethink them, and then make new things.
Right, right. And so you're creative, but do you need some sort of structure as well? Like, can't creativity? You have your elephant, but no circus.
Well,
the elephant to perform.
Structure is a key part of creativity. It's a key part of the creative process is understanding that there is a structure within it. I mean, that's the thing that artists tend to do. We tend to make new things like it's the first time, every time, and we don't do an analysis on structure, an outcome, and roadblocks, and all of these things that you need to get to a final outcome.
Right.
We don't do enough analysis on it often, and sometimes in business there's too much analysis and not enough openness. So
right.
it's being able to understand these facets and navigate these.
So is it like a switch that you toggle between both of those modes? I mean, I know I'm paraphrasing some of your own writing.
Yeah.
But for those of in the audience who might not be familiar with it, how do you kind of pivot between being creative and being having all these associations and building new things, and then having a structure so that these things actually see the light of day?
Creativity is like a language. You have to learn it, and you learn it through practice. It's not something that you can just develop out of nothing. You have to practice it daily. It's like anything. If you practice, you will learn.
And you were saying earlier that whether you're working on one of your ventures or art, it's the same process.
For me, it's the same process, yes. What's different is the language, right? When you're moving between genres, or genres is the artistic word, verticals is the business word, it's the same thing. When you're moving between verticals, you need to relearn the language of that vertical, because you need to speak to the people that work in that vertical in a language that they understand in order to get things done. And then you need social credibility within that vertical as well. So those are the two things that don't necessarily translate, and
right.
You have to relearn. The process is the same, but you have to relearn the language and be prepared to be, for a long time, the stupidest person in the room.
Right.
And at the same time, you have to relearn. You have to rebuild your social credibility within that new vertical to be respected in that vertical, so people will actually listen to what you say, and you can have reasonable conversations.
Right. And do the ideas come from the same place? Like, from a business perspective, we tend to look at, what's the business plan? What is the end goal here? What are you trying, is it profitable? From an art perspective,
Same thing.
same thing.
We just don't we don't call them this, we don't use the same words, but it's the same thing. Is this going to be successful? I mean, but success is relative, right? Is success for the artist, playing to 20 people in an interdisciplinary cafe, or is it to be standing in front of 10,000 people on a stage? What's success?
Right.
It's different people's versions of success are different, but the metrics, and that's how they measure. The metrics are different because the definition of success is different, right?
Does art come from a need? Because a lot of times businesses, it's like, what's the product market fit? What is the need that this is satisfying? Whereas I would imagine from an art perspective, it's a little bit more.
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're writing pop music, you're much more concerned about product market fit.
Right.
Right? You are. You just there's a lot more analysis that goes into those kind of things, and the label is doing a lot more analytics on what songs or what kind of things are going to work in what markets. So it really depends.
Right.
I think that there's a scale of these things, on the ones, and both are valid. So on the one side, there are creators that don't think about those things, and they don't have to. And on the other side, there are people that are, trying to make widgets that'll fit into a slot, and that it's a scale.
I mean, this is maybe a little cheesy, but Henry Ford famously said, if I asked customers what they want, they'd say a faster horse. So in order to be innovative, you kind of have to see beyond what's going on right now. Can you comment on that from maybe an artistic, but then also a business perspective?
I think it's the same thing. I mean, it depends what your interest is, right? I mean, curiosity is the first thing. I always tell people that if you're trying to re-spark where you are to be more creative, being open to the world and being curious is the first thing. And once you start to dive into something, there's so many ways to be curious these days and to learn. And once you dive in and you start to re-engage learning again, that's the craziest thing. Once you start to learn again, because we sort of go through there's this school phase, and then there's, oh, thank God there's no school phase.
Right.
And then there's a work phase, and then you're sort of comfortable. But if you continue to learn, and you continue to be curious, then the world becomes this incredible place, this incredible, crazy place. And especially now where everything is being disrupted, ideas have been sort of imploded and exploded, and they're floating everywhere. And the job of the creative is to be a vessel to collect an incredible amount of ideas, and then to sort through those ideas for great ideas that can fit together with other disparate ideas to make something new and different. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. And because AI is doing some of the creativity, does that change the role of the human in the mix?
It changes the underlying business model of the models that we've had so far, for sure. And AI, human creativity is completely being turned on its head in the age of AI, partly because it's doing some fundamental work, and partly because it's exploding all the business models that exist for everything.
Right.
And that's going to fundamentally change everything about art and business and the way but it doesn't mean that human creativity is done. It just means it's going to be fundamentally different in the future.
Right.
Like what I'm really seeing now is we're seeing pushback, we're seeing the rise of human spaces. Chess is a great example that I like to use, right? Where, humans cannot compete with computers at chess, and they haven't been able to forever, for many, many years. But chess has never been bigger because nobody wants to play chess with a computer. People love playing chess with other people, and now chess has never been bigger. Online chess, but I'm sort of a chess geek, where I'm a terrible player, but I like to watch. That sounded weird. But chess has never been bigger.
Right.
And I think we're going to find the same thing in a lot of places with the rise of human spaces around all sorts of things. And we're already seeing many different companies coming out with different programs. I think SoundCloud just came out with human only. I think iHeartRadio just came out with human only. We're starting to see this now,
Right.
where there's going to be pushback. And that doesn't mean there's not a place for AI, because AI is incredible, and I use AI every day, and
Sure.
I build companies around AI. But we're also going to see human to human rise as well.
Right. And there's probably a distinction between auto-tune AI and between a whole song that's written by a machine.
Well, that is the defining difference between AI and every other technology, is it's not just a tool. When a program can complete the task from beginning to end with no human in the loop, that's no longer a tool, that's the complete task. And that goes from everything to building a presentation, agentic agents that can do this and that, all kinds of different things. So there is a difference between an auto-tune and an end-to-end music maker.
Right. And I mean, you're very active in the AI space. Some of the things that you're working on are really next level. Anything that you would like to share? I see you're wearing the second Echo shirt.
So we have a number of different, we're basically a creative venture studio. So we're building a number of different things. We're building virtual beings on tablets for Alzheimer's patients and dementia patients in healthcare. We're doing, our main project is something called Second Echo, which is the revisualization of how we remember and memory in the age of AI. So if you think about what you know about your grandparents, essentially you know nothing. You have a few photos, a couple stories. And now, for us, we have 1 million photos and 1 million posts and 1 million this and 1 million that, but none of it is connected or searchable. And if you think about social media, we have lots of stuff there, but that's really our plastic external life. And so what we're focused on is memory that is your internal life, and how you can collect memories, share memories, collaborate on memories. That's what we're focused on.
Could you give maybe an example of that?
Yeah, well, with Second Echo, we have an agentic host named Chloe, who basically you talk to and you collect the memories and stories of your life. And then you can share those memories with your circle of friends and family to collaborate on those memories, to build what is essentially, whether, I hate to say it like this, but which is essentially your immortal memory.
Yeah, your digital immortality, I think I read, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like to specify it that way, but that's really what it is.
Right, that's super interesting, yeah. And there was a project that I thought was unbelievable, Lucy AI.
Yeah, so Lucy is a friend of mine from university, and Lucy has stage 4 lung and brain cancer. And she told us, we have a really close group of friends that are all artists and that have been together as friends since university. And so she told us about 5 years ago. And so because she's this incredible, artist, she runs a theater company, we decided to work on this piece together called Lucy AI, where we built a digital version of Lucy's mind. And then we have a touring exhibit where on a large screen, there's a light abstract of Lucy, where when you talk to Lucy, everything Lucy talks about is projected on the walls around you from videos in her life about whatever she's talking about. So it's like you're looking into her memories. And then that has since become her oncologist came to the exhibit in New York and thought that new patients really needed a version of this to talk to, because when you're newly diagnosed with cancer, there's really no one to talk to. It's very hard to find other patients to talk to. So we built, with Lucy, another version of Lucy that she really opened up and talks about her entire cancer journey. So now we're doing, we've got a clinical trial that's going on with the Brooklyn Hospital starting next month, where patients can talk to Lucy, and they can really ask Lucy anything about her journey,
right,
as so they can get some reference of what's going to happen and how things at least happen for her.
What's really amazing when you look through his portfolio of projects, they all seem to have a purpose. Is that something that you value, that you're not just in it for the exit, you're in it because you want to help humanity through your ability to use technology?
I'm always looking, I don't like to phrase it that way. I like to phrase it in a way that I like to build things that I'm interested in, that I don't think are, I'm trying not to build the widget at the far end of the spectrum. It's right. Somewhere in the middle. We'd like to have an exit on things, but we also, at the company, we want things that we believe passionately in, that we want to get up for and we want to make because because it's really interesting to us and it feeds all of our needs to work on things so hard and take so many risks.
Awesome. Recently on social media, you made reference to AI as a baby tiger.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. Can you maybe share with the audience what that metaphor is about?
Yeah, it was something that Yoshua Bengio said. It was talking about and I thought it was the great description of artificial intelligence, where we are because AI is essentially a black box, right? No one knows really what's happening inside it. And we're racing to build this thing. So really what we're doing, we're not building, when we talk about AI and the development of AI, I think of growing rather than building. Because when you grow something, you don't really understand the process that's going on inside in the cells. It's just growing. When you're building something or when you're coding something, you can actually identify the piece of code, you change this piece of code and it changes the output. It changes the outcome. That's a little bit different with artificial intelligence. We grow the AI and then we try and put rules and boundaries around the AI, so it does this, it doesn't do that. Now, if you think of AI as a baby tiger, we're growing this thing that could be cuddly and friendly forever, but at its nature, we don't really know what the nature of it is. Once it's grown, I mean, we're at the very beginning. We're really in the dial-up phase of this technology, right? So we don't know what it's going to become, but we're pouring money into it, pouring resources into it, so it can become anything. And it might well be a tiger.
And is that okay? I mean, is that just
No,
part
that's not
of
okay.
the evolution, or
No,
like?
that's a terrible.
All
It's a
right,
terrible outcome.
So what do we do? Like, obviously, we don't dig our heads in the sand.
No, I mean, originally when I started getting into AI, one of the reasons I do a lot of keynote speaking for companies about artificial intelligence, creativity, and innovation. But the reason I flipped to AI is because I wanted to be a voice that could talk about AI. Because I think, if we look at what happened with social media, tech companies unleash social media on our children without any thought, without any regulation, without any care, really. And we're doing the same thing with artificial intelligence,
Right.
except artificial intelligence is a technology that is about 1,000 times more impactful than social media. So what does that mean? I'm a big believer that we need much more government regulation into how this thing is being rolled out.
Okay, interesting. What do you think of, like, what role do universities or schools have to play in terms of teaching the right ethics or responsible use of AI?
I think that schools have been incredibly, I don't know how to put this.
You don't want to get me fired now.
No, but I think that schools have been incredibly, they've been focused purely on the development of the technology.
Okay.
And only now we're seeing people start to go, oh shit, what have we made?
Right.
Because this stuff started in the schools, right? And there was no thought about the long-term result of what this was going to really mean if they were ever successful.
Right.
So now we have to really start thinking about, I also think that the push for regulation, it would be great if it started in the schools as well.
Right.
And I think we're starting to see a turn on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So is it pointless to learn the guitar, to learn the piano, if you can just kind of get an AI to make you a track?
It's so fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, I mean, I've made music with AI, I've made videos for music with AI, but it's not fun. I mean, that's not the joy we get out of the stuff as humans, right? I get joy out of playing with my friends. That sounds so bad, I get joy. I really enjoy playing music with my friends in a room and then playing for an audience. That's fun.
Yeah.
And that's the part that's the spark. Typing my music out is not as fun.
Right. But do you feel that the skill set that, whether it's in a business context or an artistic context, is different than it was 20 years ago?
Not right now, but that's going to change quickly, I think. I mean, who knows if it will change? Maybe it'll get better. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I worry about is, look, we're talking about education. What I worry about is key parts of, when we were in school, when I was in school anyway, when I was in school, you took math up to grade 10 and then you could quit, right? And then you use computers for math,
Yeah.
right? Now you can get AI to write. And I really equate the learning of writing to the ability to learn to think. That process of writing, getting ideas, that loop of ideas, trying to figure out how to structure, how to build, how to create in writing was very similar to the idea of learning to think and create, that loop. And I don't know what happens when we lose that need to write.
Yeah.
Because we needed to write before. Nothing could write for us.
Right.
We needed to do math before. Nothing could do math for us. As soon as something could do math for us, we stopped doing math.
Right.
Right? Now that something can write for us,
Stop thinking.
do we lose that that base layer of learning, I wonder.
Yeah. How do you use AI in your day-to-day?
All the time.
All the time?
I mean, we're an AI first company. Every single person in the company uses AI all the time, every day, because it allows us to be, 75% more productive. All our coders use AI, full copilots all the time. I use it, I use it all the time to, I come from the arts. I mean, the university as well, but I didn't major in business. So I needed people to help me write SOWs and LOIs and all of these things before. Now I don't need anybody. I can do all that stuff. I don't need those people to do those things. It makes you incredibly more capable.
Right. Yeah. Super cool. If we can pivot maybe a little bit to kind of personal growth, you're a real Renaissance man. There's not many people who can speak to the arts and technology and entrepreneurship in the world that I can think of. Humbly, I don't know everyone, but like you. Is that something that your parents influenced you? Are you just lucky that way? Where did you get this curiosity and this kind of fearlessness?
My mom was a Chinese brush painter, and my dad was an econ prof.
Oh, wow.
So that's probably where.
So that's that.
Yeah, that's that. My mom was a Thai Buddhist. My dad was a Montreal Jew.
Okay.
It's this constant mix of collision of things.
So you've lived all over the world. I mean, you lived in New York, Los Angeles, but you've settled down in Montreal for a little bit.
Yeah.
What is it about the city?
I mean, I really like Montreal. I love it. I love it in the summer.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hating it these days.
Yeah.
I just got back from Thailand, and I've gotten back, and I'm really bitter. But
at least you get to travel.
I love it. I love it in the summer, and the spring, and the fall, and not the winter.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Awesome. And so we spoke a little bit about the concept of digital immortality. I won't say it out loud because I know it's not maybe your favorite depiction of it. But it's super interesting, right? I think what maybe might creep some people out is the predictive aspect of it. So a picture is a moment captured in time, whereas second echo potentially is a way to interact with something that no longer is.
Well, the memory still is, right? What I think is, I think that there's going to be a fundamental shift in how we remember and what memory is, because if we take away the idea of memory or immortality and we just talk about it as story, interactive stories that you can bring up all the time, that's kind of the way we think of it. And I think, like most things, I think it's going to be how it's presented and how it's consumed that's going to change how people think of it. I mean, the idea of talking, my dad's passed away, the idea of speaking to an avatar of my dad is not attractive to me, right? But the idea of being able to remember and understand his stories very deeply about where he grew up, my dad grew up with Leonard Cohen in Westmount.
Oh, wow. And
those stories, which I still remember, fade a little bit. You lose the edges of all the stories, right? And for my mother, who has pretty bad Alzheimer's, this tool is too late for her, and I was too stupid to record all of those memories. And those memories I barely remember at all.
Yeah.
They're sort of gone. And that to me is tragic. So that's where I live with this stuff.
So it's more preservation than immortality.
It's a mix, really, because the stories will be immortal for you and your kids. But I'm not trying. I think that there's just this weird line, at least for now, between being able to talk to them as that's going to happen, obviously. That's the natural predictor of this line. But I don't. But yeah.
And I think the idea that you're able to collaborate on reconstructing these memories is also something that doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's a really interesting. I personally find it very interesting. You can collaborate on memory. That's very interesting to me.
Yeah. And is this your idea, or is it like a team effort, or someone comes with it, or?
Oh no, I've been trying to do this for years, but the technology didn't exist.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. For the students in the audience who are maybe unsure of what they want to do, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would say be curious, be open, start looking for things and trying, because any creative process, you're going to have a billion ideas, right? You have a billion ideas, almost all, not your ideas, my ideas. Most of my ideas suck. Most of my ideas are terrible. But I've become very good at filtering ideas that through a range of sort of criteria, figuring out what are good ideas, what are bad ideas. I got it through songwriting, right? Because in songwriting, you write just so many ideas all the time. You're writing them, you're collecting them, and you're trying to hold on to the great ideas and get rid of the shitty ideas fast, right? So you'll collect for an album, and this is the easiest way for me to describe it, for an album, you'll collect 1,000 ideas, right? Of those, you'll cull them down to 250 reasonable ideas that you'll build on. Of those, you'll build 50 into songs. Of those, you'll take 35, 25 into the studio. And of those, 12 cuts will make it onto the album. That's kind of the way I think about everything with ideas. You're trying to find things that are meaningful to you, that have magic in them for other people, all these kind of things, right? Same thing with anything, business or songs.
Go Nuts, it's about quantity, and then you refine, you edit, you cut. It's like
It's
elimination.
not about quantity, it's about collection.
Okay.
Right? You're trying to be open to the world and collect things. Like one of my favorite things to do as a songwriter is walk through a bookstore and look at the book titles. Because people that have, authors are so anal about their titles. They've written these great turns of phrases, and I'm always looking to steal the best turn of phrase and then manipulate it in some way, marry it with something else. But, you're collecting, you're thieving, you're doing whatever you need to do to pull great ideas together.
Awesome. You've been so generous with your time with me. I'd love to open it
Sure.
to the audience. I'm sure there's a lot of good questions. Yeah, I think Rudy.
If anyone online has any questions, just type them into the chat and we can read them out. And here, let's pass the mic.
Hey, thanks a lot, David, for the insights. I always wonder, we talked about your career at the beginning and all the time with much music and when there was concerts where the CDs were actually generating money. Now imagine starting your career and we talked about creativity and matching with the product. Do you think today there's something wrong with how music is obviously monetized, but at the same time, do you think that it kind of forces everyone to go into a more basic approach, less time in the studios in order to get to the market first or accelerate the presence?
Yeah, it's different. I wouldn't say it's better or worse, it's different. And it's going to change even more. So, I think that the business model that we've had is going to change a lot. But at the same time, there's a million things back in the old record, when the labels were around that we can complain about. And we did complain about all the time, how they ripped us off so bad and the contracts were so terrible. We had our own complaints about those things. They had something called breakage, which was the idea that when you sold records, they would break in shipping. And so they would charge you breakage, even though we were selling CDs. They would still charge you breakage and take it off the top. So there were a million things to complain about then. There are a million things to complain about now. You have to find a new way. And the people that find the new way will be successful, and the people that don't won't.
Hey, David. I had a quick question for you. You mentioned how you think creative people are going to flourish in this new era. What's your instinct on that? What's making you recognize that right now?
Because creative people have to be comfortable in chaos. Part of being creative is the ability to, whether you're an entrepreneur or you're an artist, you have to be able to walk in chaos because there's so many, when you're building something, there's so many things that are unpredictable. And there are so many things that can come and wipe you out, or roadblocks coming at you all the time. You have to be able to be nimble and to be changeable and to know how to move. And it really is like playing dodgeball. And because we're about to enter an era of chaos, and companies need creatives that can really navigate those things, because it's becoming less about the code. As code becomes a commodity that AI can do, it now becomes about the ability to put those ideas together, not just to build something, but how you're going to put all these things together. So I think chaos is the big thing.
The execution of putting them together, you'd say, to attach.
Yeah, execution is a big part of it, right? You have to be able to build it, but you have to be able to deliver it too. And that's hard for everyone, including me. That's execution is always hard.
Thank you.
Would you say that now being able to ask the right questions is almost more valuable than getting the answer?
I don't know. I mean, it depends. I mean,
You
need both. You need both.
It's
You need
probably vague, but because everyone has access to the same knowledge base at this point, but not everyone has the creativity to ping it in the same way.
I mean, it depends how literally you're talking. If you're actually talking about AI, you do have to understand how to manipulate the AIs to do what you want them to do. Everyone from, especially if you're coding. But the answer is really important too.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, David. Thanks so much for your talk. Thank you as well, Richard. I have a quick question with you. I'm sort of in a similar boat where I'm a musician as well, and I've dabbled with a lot of different things, and I can't really pick a path.
Yeah.
And like you, I'm sure you have 1,000 ideas a day, and you don't know what to choose, and you've figured out your filter system. And I understand that point, but where I'm confused is how do you test for longevity, considering companies are getting 100 million users in 2 months instead of 15 years like they did with Spotify?
It's really hard. I wish I could tell you. I wish I had the answers myself. You need to figure out what you're interested in and build on it. What I would say is that you need to figure out what you're doing and stick to it for a while. Because although some things grow really fast and it happens, sometimes you have to dedicate yourself to something. You have to dedicate yourself to something to make it amazing and to become amazing at it. So, that's always the balance, right? Am I on this too long, too short? That's always the thing. This fail fast thing, actually, I think it's real. If you can figure out what's working and what's not working, and what you're passionate about, what you're not passionate about, those are important things.
Thank you.
Not very complete question or answer on my part.
I have one more question for you. So being eclectic the way you are, I'm sure the people around you kind of shape the way that you move forward. So what are some traits and people you surround yourself with in this day and age?
I look for, I always work with different people. I have great people I work with. Really great people I work with. And I really try and surround myself with people that, they don't think the same as me, but we have the same desire to make things. And we also, there does seem to be sort of this weird creative aesthetic around the people I'm surrounding myself with. But I'm looking for different things in collaborators. I always think, if you think about it as a band, right? If you're leading I don't play cello. I play guitar to write songs, but I'm a terrible guitar player. But when I bring the band together, or my players together, especially for my solo band, I really know I know what I'm looking for, and I know how to bring things out of people, and I know when something's right. But it doesn't mean I don't allow them to run in their lane. I allow them to bring what they're going to bring to the table, but I'm able to identify. A lot of being a leader within a group is being able to orchestrate and identify, right? Your role is to bring great things out of people, and identify what is great, right? Without allowing people to have endless room to run everywhere, without constraining them too much so they don't have any freedom to bring out what they need the best. So that if you think about yourself as a conductor that's how I think about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions?
Hi. Okay.
Hi.
So I'm a teacher, and I wanted to come back to the end of the comment you made around, basically looking at generative AI and other tools for creating something without any interventions. So in the classroom, if you do it, you fail, right? So if you create an essay or a visual work, in my classroom and a lot of teachers' classrooms, you fail. You can't do it. And so one of the things that my question to you is where is the gray line? How much of an intervention do you have to do? Technology-based intervention or creative intervention into a piece for it to still be artwork?
Yeah, that's really difficult. I mean, I follow a lot of AI artists online on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn all the time. That's all I do. But I follow a lot of AI artists, and some of them are really creative. But it is odd. I mean, there's this this line between, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, this is the line we're trying to drive. I mean, if someone is typing into a computer and making music, do I think that that's a song that I'm going to listen to for a long time? Or is it artwork? I don't know. I don't think so. But there's some great AI-generated songs, right? There are some really great AI-generated songs. I have some in my playlist, and I'll listen to them when I'm walking up the mountain. But that doesn't mean that I think it's the same as a human piece of art. So these are lines we're still drawing. I'm not really sure what to tell you. All I know is that I think that there are skills that people need to learn beyond prompting.
I guess it comes back to the concept around human agency, because there is quite a few artists in Montreal right now and on the international stage that are using AI in really interesting ways, or hacking, creating different kinds of technology-driven art, which we've been doing for a long time. So that's kind of where, I mean, that's a question we're looking at in our labs right now. So that's why I'm sort of posing it.
I don't really know. I mean, these are lines we're always drawing, right? We've always been drawing these lines with technology. We've always been drawing these lines about if you do this, then that. For sure, there are creative ways to use AI to make art. But I think for myself, it's a personal thing. What do I want to spend my time looking at, interacting with? But in the end, we don't know where it's going to go as well. We're about to start to get into the world of full AI-generated television, right? And maybe that's going to be amazing. We're all going to watch that stuff. I don't know. I'm not sure.
So it's where you're positioning it right now, this is kind of a brainstorm, is the engagement with it, or how people, they decide they want to watch something. So I'm kind of thinking from the artist perspective, as far as are humans intervening in any of that process? Therefore, is it art?
Yeah.
Or is it something
I don't
else?
really have a line right now. I know what you're talking about, but I don't have a line that I've drawn in the sand. Okay, this is art, this is not art. But I've been very careful that way all along, because you would often find that genre to genre. Back in the day, it used to be you could only listen to one genre. That was your thing, right? You were only allowed to listen to one kind of music, and this kind of music did not interact with this kind of music. Then everything got muddled and mushed together, and we listen to everything now. And so it's the same with technology. Technology, people used to talk about tape all the time in the studio. We really need tape. We need to record it on tape because it's got that warm sound. We all know that that's a bunch of bullshit.
Or tube amps only.
Yeah. Anyway, these are ongoing. Fortunately for me, I don't have to draw a line, so I'm not sure. For me, it's what I like.
A question here, I think.
I'll complete. But back into what you just said, it's a bit like how Rick Rubin, for example, approached music, right? He doesn't play any instrument, it just feels right a bit on how it sounds or how he's going to interpret. But most of the time, it's initiated by being in the studio, by being in that process of creativity, and then getting somewhere at this point. And just to complete on that conversation, my question was more about my father passed out of because of Alzheimer in 2021, and what drove really the Alzheimer to get worse was the fact that he was alone because it was COVID, so he was all alone, and this is where Alzheimer. And one of the elements that I'm realizing with AI is that we tend to replace that empathy that we don't have in our society and saying, well, there's an AI for that and you can chat with it and my fear is to say, well, is it going to replace everything? Are we patching empathy with the technology and saying there's
as far as AIs on virtual beings on tablets for Alzheimer's patients, or the elderly, I have absolutely no problem with that, because the reality is kids can't be there enough, healthcare workers can't be there enough, caregivers can't be there enough, and people are alone. So if an AI can help fill that space, I got no trouble with that whatsoever, because there is a reality of a healthcare crisis in this country, all over the world. And so for me, that's not, I understand what you're saying about empathy, but in the reality of that world in healthcare, if a human can't be there or won't be there, then I would much rather an AI was there to be with an elderly person than nobody. Because the reality is, we will never have enough healthcare workers, we will never have enough home care workers, and often kids just can't be there enough, including myself. So, and something I was thinking about the music thing too, is if you take a DJ, and all they do is spin records. They don't write the music, they just spin the records, but the event is the art, right? So it's always this balance, it's always this changing of what the art is. Is the art the making, or is it the happening that happens from the experience?
Thanks.
So I, like many of the other students here, are probably very broke as well. And so I feel like I've had a lot of ideas that I could have turned into relatively decent business models that are now being taken over by giants who've had the idea a year later. And I really want to get into like the entrepreneurship side of things and like startups and all that jazz, but I don't know how to kind of get started into like pitching an idea without an actual workable model. Like I've been using the vibe coding go-tos like anti-gravity and Claude Code, but it only gives you like a quarter of the picture when you need the whole thing to actually finish. And then I need software people, which I don't have $100,000 to pay. So how would you go by navigating that in this sort of?
Well, I mean, you have to, I mean, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to figure out a way to be an entrepreneur. That's all I can tell you. Like, you gotta, like, it's not easy. And you gotta, at the beginning, you gotta figure out how to do it, you know? It's just like when we started with the band, we borrowed $5,000, got an old van and went out on the road with nothing. And we slept on people's floors and you grind it out for years before it works. And with the nice thing that, I mean, I will say this about, if you go on to Lovable, get a $25 a month account and code away, you know? That's what I would say. But the reality is that it's tough. It's a grind and it is not, and I would also say not everyone has to be an entrepreneur, right? Like some people want to be entrepreneurs and some people don't. The life of an entrepreneur is really chaotic and unstable, and there's a lot of sleepless nights and terror involved and all these kind of things. Not only when you're starting out, when you're running a company and you've got to make payroll for all your people and all these things, it never stops. But it's kind of incredible too. So.
Yeah, so I don't want to get you in trouble, Richard, but quick question. As a business student, we're seeing AI getting stronger and stronger. AGI we don't know how soon that's going to be coming. I guess my question is how viable is it to stay in a business school, considering AI is on the rise and maybe we should be focusing more on things related to that nature?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, sure.
I think that you should go to school because it's fun.
Yeah.
School's fun, man.
But
enjoy school.
Think
Have fun
of the
at
moment
school.
here that you're in
Yeah.
now. You're not in the classroom.
I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about the pub, but school's fun.
Have you been to Reggie's lately?
No, I don't know what
Okay.
this is.
come tonight.
I don't go to university pubs. That would be really creepy.
So now, what about like actual viability?
Life experience is viable, like this is your life. You can think of it as, what's going to get me wherever faster, but at the same time, there's lots to learn here. And you could start a business while you're in school. There's nothing stopping anyone from doing that. Plus, it can be really fun to do. I really enjoyed university. I don't know what I got out of it, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was fun.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi. A quick question, drawing a parallel, you talked about chess earlier, that humans can't compete with the computers at chess anymore. Do you foresee a future where humans won't be able to compete with AI on the creativity front?
Yes.
And is
100%.
anything we can do to like thrive, as you were saying earlier?
It just depends if it does happen where humans decide that, I don't want to see AI generated bands on screens. I don't want, I want the unauthentic, where suddenly the value of something that someone actually had to spend time on, and the human time spent on creating that art piece makes it more valuable, makes people want it because it is, because a lot of this stuff lives around scarcity, right? The idea of scarcity. And when AI comes into the arts, it basically blows up scarcity. When you can't tell a human song from an AI song, you can't tell a human painting from an AI painting, scarcity is gone. But maybe there will be intrinsic scarcity in the making of it, in the creation of it, right? So I don't know.
But it also sounds like we have a role to play from the demand side of the equation. So if we stop looking at it, we don't consume it, that'll kind of curb its proliferation, if you will.
But the intellectual demand side of it is different than the actual demand side of it. We can say we should do this, we shouldn't do that, but it's what we're actually going to do is what we don't know, right? We can say we shouldn't be scrolling on our phones forever, but we still do it. We can't help it, right? It's just it's addictive. So I don't know what the value is going to be, and I agree with you.
Intellectually, but practically speaking,
exactly.
Different story.
Exactly.
Yeah. Awesome.
Take one more question.
Awesome.
Sorry, it's a bit of a ambiguous
Sure.
question, so I'm kind of just gonna state it. And
I'm a bit of an ambiguous person.
you mentioned like being a leader was being able to orchestrate and identify. Like you weren't a great guitar player, you weren't the best cello player. How were you able to identify that was your skill set and trust yourself to understand what you were hearing and know like, okay, I know this person or this chord will fit with that and someone else will like this, not just me. Like trust yourself.
It's a mixture between trial and error and just a faith that I knew what I was doing. I mean, when I started doing music, I went on a learning path with music. I was doing it just by nature, but I also decided that I really wanted to understand the structure of the song. Because songwriting is two things. You have to have you've got a natural ear for what you're trying to get out, but at the same time there's a structure underneath it. And what I did was there was something called Music West, which was like South by Southwest but in Vancouver. And I volunteered very specifically to be the person that would play all the demo tapes in the A&R panel. A&R is the people that sign bands. They listen to all the music and they sign bands. And all these artists would come in, and I would be the person that would put the tape in the tape player and play the song. And I would listen to the A&R's critique of every song. And very quickly, I realized that the critique was almost always the same. Same critique for every single goddamn song, right? This part of the song, that part of the song. And suddenly, patterns start to, this is all pattern recognition, right? You start to see these patterns, and you go, okay, well, duh. You start to see these patterns, and those patterns become your patterns. Suddenly, you start to understand, and that doesn't mean you have to stick within the pattern, but at least you understand the pattern. You're not just going blindly. And pattern recognition in creativity is a huge part of things. Being able to understand what the patterns are, and then you can decide if you're going to break the pattern or not.
Thank you.
We'll do one final one.
Sure.
Thank you. Yeah, one more.
I'll make it quick. What are your 2026 predictions?
Oh, fuck, I don't know. I don't know. I think we're going to see the rise of agentic AI. We're already seeing it, and agentic AI is going to fundamentally change what AI can do. Like being able to go from doing single prompt tasks to really being able to do chain tasks autonomously. Not massive tasks, but general. I think we're going to see a lot of that, and I think that's where the main disruption is going to come within work. We're going to really see a disruption in work now because agentic AI is going to be able to do a lot more things autonomously.
Thank you.
Awesome. David, I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
You're awesome. Love your perspective. I don't know how to thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Richard. Thanks, David. Also, thanks everyone coming in for your questions, coming into the space, and those of you online as well. We're going to close up the Zoom. We're going to close up the live stream now, but this remains available on our YouTube channel, and you can revisit it. You can share it. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thanks, everyone.